Have a Bible, hold it up, please. Hold it up high. It's a Bible-believing, Bible-preaching church. And go ahead and turn your Bibles to 1 Chronicles chapter 14. 1 Chronicles chapter 14. If you've never heard of Chronicles, it's in the Old Testament after Kings. 1 Chronicles chapter 14. I also want to take a moment to welcome Mr. Wallace here from Ohio, visiting Tyrone and family. Tyrone's dad is here with us. Came all the way from Ohio because he heard I was such an awesome preacher. He said, I got to go to Atlanta and hear this man preach. Now, we're glad to have you with us. Hope you enjoy your stay here in hot Atlanta. 1 Chronicles chapter 4. I heard a story about a plane that was flying over the Atlantic Ocean, and the only people on board this plane was the pilot, a scientist, a preacher, and a backpacker. The plane had engine trouble, and the pilot goes to the passengers to inform them of the situation. He explains that the plane is about to crash, and there's only 3 parachutes. And seeing that it's his plane, he informs them he's taking one, and he jumps out, leaving the 3 passengers with 2 parachutes. The scientist says, when I'm on the verge of a scientific breakthrough, I will be sorely missed. So he jumps out, leaving 1 parachute, the backpacker, and the preacher. So the preacher says, look, man, I've had a good life. I know where I'm going. You have your whole life ahead of you. You take the last parachute. And the young man said, don't worry about that. You see that scientist that jumped out? He jumped out with my backpack. Well, let me ask you a question. How many of you this evening need a breakthrough in your life? Need a breakthrough. Amen. We all face barriers. Walls that stand in the way of making progress. And if we're going to keep moving forward in our lives, we've got to learn to break through those barriers and get to the next level of living in our lives. Somebody said wherever people find themselves in life, they usually possess the natural desire to move up. They want greater recognition. They want more money. They want to live in a better home. They want to advance and improve. The problem is that setbacks and failures and roadblocks often discourage us and test our commitment to move forward. This evening, I'm still saying this morning, help me Jesus. We're going to look at a man today in the Bible who faced a daunting challenge. And just like you, he needed a breakthrough. His name is David. And in 1 Chronicles chapter 14, beginning in verse 8, we read this. When the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over all Israel, they went up in full force to search for him. But David heard about it and went out to meet them. Now the Philistines had come and raided the valley of Rephaim. So David inquired of God, shall I go and attack the Philistines? Will you hand them over to me? And the Lord answered him, go, I will hand them over to you. So David and his men went up to Baal-perazim, and there he defeated them. He said, as waters break out, God has broken out against my enemies by my hand. So that place was called Baal-perazim. The Philistines had abandoned their gods there, and David gave orders to burn them in the fire. Now we're talking about a breakthrough. And David gives us a definition of a breakthrough in verse 11. In verse 11 he says, as waters break out, God has broken out against my enemies by my hand. Now what David is doing right here is he's describing the natural power of flooding. When waters break out of their banks, breaking through the dam, great power is displayed, washing everything away in its path. And he's describing the power of God in a similar way, because when God unleashes his power, nothing in the world can stop it. Let me say that again. When God chooses to unleash his power, nothing in the world can stop it. You experience a breakthrough. What do I mean? When a person who has smoked for years finally lays down the cigarettes for the last time, that's a breakthrough. Amen. When a person who struggles with alcoholism gets sober and gains control over their impulses, that's a breakthrough. When a person addicted to pornography turns off the TV or the computer, gets off the internet, refusing to watch that film ever again. That's a breakthrough. When a husband and wife who've been having marital problems discover a whole new way to communicate with each other and fall in love all over again. That's a breakthrough. A breakthrough is a sudden burst of God's favor, an explosion of God's goodness, an overwhelming release of God's power. In the Bible, God is known as the God of the breakthrough. Why? God loves to orchestrate the impossible. It's his favorite way to operate. It's time. I believe it's time for my breakthrough. I don't know about you. Y'all don't act like this evening y'all want a breakthrough. I believe it's time for my breakthrough. So today what I want to do is share with you, if you're interested in having a breakthrough in your life, I want to share with you some breakthrough principles that you can put into action. I believe this process, and you see it all the way through the Bible, it consists of 4 distinct but necessary phases that God takes you through on the road to the next level of your life. I call it the pattern of a breakthrough. There are 4 identifiable phases that I want you to see as we look at this breakthrough. How can I get my breakthrough to come through? Let me give you those phases, and then this lesson is yours. Phase number 1. The first thing I do is this. I go through a crisis. You say, well, I'm already qualified. I go through a crisis. This is the first phase on the road to reaching the next level in your life. God allows a crisis to come into your life that pushes up against your faith in God. Something takes place in your life that puts your back up against the wall or tests your faith. It's a crisis. How many of you have ever experienced a crisis? Well, I want you to notice David's crisis in verse 8 and 9. It says, when the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over all Israel, they went up in full force to search for him. Now, the Philistines had come and raided the valley of Rephaim. What's going on here? David was anointed king over Israel. He's promoted. Things are going well in his life when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, crisis comes into his life. He has not even had a good honeymoon in his new position. David's crisis had a name. It's called the Philistines. Y'all remember the Philistines? These are the guys that ran from David when he chopped off the head of Goliath. How many of you know that just because you defeat your enemy one day, that don't mean that you're not going to come back another day? All right, so the Philistines have heard David now is king. We got to go get this sucker. And so the Philistines, in a strategic and defiant move, raided a valley in Jewish territory. A valley, it turns out, that was a direct route to the capital city of Jerusalem, where David lived. Well, how was David? David was stunned. Perhaps he was scared. He was smack dab in the middle of a crisis. Here's what a crisis does in your life. A crisis works on your pressure points. A crisis causes stress. It stresses a person to his limits. But experiencing a crisis is the first phase in experiencing a breakthrough in your life. God allows you to face a challenge or a daunting obstacle that pushes up against your belief and faith in God. And so everybody faces different kinds of crises. Maybe it's the loss of a valued relationship, such as the breakup of a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or divorce, or the dissolving of a long-time business partnership, or failing a class in school, or failing an entire grade, losing one's job, bankruptcy, the decline in health, or the death of someone close to you. These are a few, but these are the more intense kinds of crises we face. But here's the question. Why, God? Why does God allow us to go through a crisis in order to break through to the next level? Well, let me tell you one of the reasons why. And one of the reasons why life on the average daily tone is not enough to break us out of our status quo routines, out of our status quo ruts, out of our status quo mindsets. And so God sometimes allows us to feel the heat. The crisis takes us off autopilot. And do you know what it means to live on autopilot? You're just kind of cruising along, not making any waves, not really doing anything bad, but not doing anything good either. Like you're just kind of cruising along at the same old altitude, going the same old speed all the time. Where the crisis takes you off autopilot. It wakes you up, slaps your spiritual senses back to reality. Now, sometimes we make decisions that invite them. You ever invited a crisis into your life? Oh, absolutely you have. You ever made a dumb decision? Raise both hands if you have. All right, I'm going to make sure I'm talking to the right folks. Listen, sometimes we invite them. Other times, we are surprised by it. It's the difference between starving and fasting. One is voluntary and the other is involuntary. But David's crisis was involuntary. He done nothing to bring this on himself. It came into his life. He didn't ask for it. He didn't want it. But one thing is for sure, he had to respond to it. So whatever the reason, the crisis in your life, whether you asked for it or not, whether you brought it on yourself or not, one thing is for sure, you got to respond to it. And how you respond to it is going to determine whether or not you go to the next level and experience the breakthrough in your life. So number one, I go through a crisis. That leads me to phase number 2 in David's life. Then I go to God. I go to God. First, I go through a crisis. Then I go to God. Notice verse 10. It says, so David inquired of God, shall I go and attack the Philistines? Will you hand them over to me? Listen to me, folks. The way you and I respond when we're in a crisis is important. Our response often determines whether we go up or whether we give up. Somebody said experiences like these are like tea bags in hot water. They bring out the true colors on the inside. See, you don't ever know your faith is real until you go through something. And if you haven't been through anything, don't go talking about how much faith you have in God. Faith is not faith until faith is tested. And when faith is tested, then it reveals what's on the inside of you. A crisis simply reveals what's inside of you. This crisis that David went through, you know what it revealed? It revealed a dependence on God. The crisis motivated David to call on God for divine assistance. Now, some of you are in the middle of trying to make some major decision right now. Some of you are perhaps at a crossroads. God has you there for a reason. You've got a decision to make and you need guidance. What do you do when you have a decision to make but you're not clear on the right direction? You need God to break through. And you call out to God. And the Bible says that when David experienced this crisis, he inquired of God. So listen to this point. This is real important. The beginning of your breakthrough will come when you reach the end of yourself.
Yes, Lord.
The beginning of your breakthrough will come when you reach the end of yourself.
Yes.
See, prayer, and I'm talking real prayer, not just now lay me down to sleep, I pray Lord my soul to keep.
Yes.
I'm not talking about something you just say over me.
Yes.
I'm talking about real praying.
Yes.
Prayer is a way of saying, I can't do this on my own. I need a power outside myself to break through in my life. You got to stop depending on your own wisdom. You got to stop listening to the world. You got to stop listening to Pookie them and Ray them and give their advice. You better call on God for guidance in that situation. And the Bible tells us of a lady who had an issue of blood for 18 years. And at first she tried all the doctors. She tried all the medicine. Nothing worked. She was at a breaking point. But she was also on the same street as Jesus one day. And as she made contact with him, she said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, if I could just make contact with him, my breakthrough is going to come through. And she experienced that breakthrough. But folks, not everybody responds this way to a crisis. Some people, when they go through a crisis, they get angry with God. Or they get angry at other folks. But David said, this is a bad situation. I'm going to inquire of God. I'm going to run to God.
Yes.
That's why I'm so encouraged. My brother KK is here this evening because he said, no. I'm not going to say I'm not going to worship God today because this bad thing is happening. I'm going to run to God.
That's right.
And I'm going to give him the praise he deserves. Because listen to me, folks. The enemy will try to get to you and keep you from communing with God. He hopes you get so preoccupied and so nervous and so distracted that you will make a faithful decision on your own. But I love what God said to Jeremiah one time. He said, call unto me, and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things you did not know. How do you experience breakthrough? I go through a crisis, then I go to God, and then number 3, I go on faith. I go on faith. I go through a crisis, I go to God, and then I go on faith. Here's how God answered David in verse 10. He said to him, go, I will hand them over to you. God answered David's prayer. God spoke clearly into David's life. And he promised David what? Victory.
Yes.
He says, go, I will hand them over to you. Now, here's where faith comes in. Because at this point, David has a choice. Here's the choice. Will I believe what God has said, or will I go with my gut? My gut is saying, don't mess with those Philistines. Now, am I going to believe what God has said, or am I going to believe what my gut is saying? Will David go on faith, or will he go on feelings? You say, was this a crisis of belief since God said he would give him victory? Yes, because David still had to decide if I'm going to believe God, if I'm going to take him at his word, if I'm going to trust what God is going to do, what he said he would do. See, folks get on me for not talking a whole lot about tithing. But I found something to be true. I don't have to talk a whole lot about tithing. Everybody in here knows about tithing. You know what tithing is. You know you should. The issue on the floor is, are you going to trust God to do what he said he would do if you tithe?
That's right. That's it.
That's a crisis of faith in you.
That's right.
Do I believe that God's going to pour open the whole windows of heaven and pour out so much blessing on me, I won't have room enough for it? Do I believe that?
Yes.
It's a crisis of faith.
Amen.
What did David do? How did he respond to God? Look at what he says. Look at what it says in verse 10. It says, the Lord asked him, go, I will hand him over to you. It says, so David and his men went up to Baal Perazim, and there he defeated them. Oh, David said he went up. God said, go up. David said, I will. And so David obeyed the Lord and did exactly what God told him to do. David was going on faith. That's what faith is. Because, folks, let me tell you what faith does and why this is important. Because here's what faith does in our life. 3 things at least. 1, faith determines what God can do in my life. Faith determines what God can do in my life. When the blind man cried out to Jesus, and Jesus said, what do you want me to do for you? They said, Lord, we want to see. Here's what Jesus said in Matthew 9:29. He said, according to your faith, it will be done unto you. Folks, do you know what the Lord is saying right here? God is saying, you get to choose. You get to choose how many blessings you have in your life. You get to choose how many answered prayers you have. You get to choose how much God can work in your life, because Jesus said it's according to your faith. You want that? Then according to your faith, it will be done unto you. In the Bible, there are over 7,000 promises from God to man, and faith is the key to unlocking every single one of those promises. Faith determines what God can do in my life. But here's the second thing faith does. Faith can solve impossible problems. Faith can solve impossible problems. Jesus said, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible to you. Some of you are facing some impossible situations right now. You need this verse. Because Jesus said it doesn't take a whole lot of faith. Because if you put a little faith in a big God, you get big results.
Yes, sir.
I always tell folks, if you got a great faith in a weak bridge, it's going to get you wet.
Yeah.
But if you got strong bridge, but weak faith, it's going to keep you dry. Why? Because the key is the object of your faith. Not the size of your faith, but the object of it. My faith is in God.
Yes.
And if I have faith as small as a mustard seed, Jesus said nothing will be impossible for you. But then number 3, it is the way to please God. Faith is the way to please God. Hebrew writer says, without faith, it's impossible to please God. It's not by rituals. It's not by rules. It's not by regulations. It's not by religion. He said it is by faith. Faith is the only way to please God. Parents, how many of you are pleased when your children put their trust in you?
Amen.
Every single one of us. Well, God is pleased when his children put their trust in him. And so it says, if you want to please God, you got to have faith. Listen, folks, some things in life you can't talk your way out of. Some things in life you can't work your way out of. Some things in life you can't buy your way out of. Some things in life you can only trust your way out of. You got to believe God. And so somebody here today is going through a crisis, and you have a decision to make. You have a decision to make. Am I going to trust God or not?
Amen.
Am I going to believe what God says about this situation
Amen.
or not? Am I going to go on faith or fear?
Amen.
What are you going to do? What we need to know, folks, God is waiting to give us a breakthrough. God wants to give us a breakthrough. Many of us are facing situations right now where we need a breakthrough in our lives. Yet most of us sit and wait for God to make it happen. And then we wonder why it doesn't happen as much as we want it to happen. What we need to know is that breakthrough is not something we sit around and wait for.
That's right.
Breakthrough is God waiting on us to respond in obedience to what he's already commanded and promised.
Amen.
He's commanded us to do some things. Now, we do it. God gives the breakthrough. Breakthrough happens when we take the first step against the barriers in our life. Breakthrough happens when I say, I'm going to trust God in spite of what it looks like.
That's right.
I'm going to trust God in spite of what it feels like. I'm going to trust God to supernaturally do what I cannot do for myself. I'm going to trust God to come through, even though I can't see no way out of this mess.
right.
God does the breakthrough, but he's waiting on us to take that step of faith. So what do I need to do, folks? I experience the crisis. I go to God. Then I go on faith. And then that leads me to the 4th phase in this breakthrough process. I go up. I go up. I go up to the next level. I break through into a new realm, a higher dimension of living. I break the status quo barrier. I graduate from one grade to another. After David went through the first 3 phases of the process and he came to phase 3 and 4, he decided he was going to go on faith. Look what happened to David in verse 11. He said, as waters break out, God has broken out against my enemies by my hand. David experienced his much needed breakthrough. As a matter of fact, after God broke through and defeated the Philistines, David gave that place a name. Look at it again in verse 11. It says, so that place was called Baal Perazim. Now, do you know what Baal Perazim literally means? Baal Perazim literally means Lord of the breakthrough. He said, this is now Lord of the breakthroughs. What am I saying, folks? I'm saying David learned something new about God that day. David learned something he didn't know about God today. He learned that God was the Lord of the breakthroughs. He's the master of the breakthroughs. He's the God of the breakthroughs. So let me ask you a question this evening. Do you know this side of God? Do you know this side of God? This side that loves to break through and lift people to a higher level. See, this side of God you get to know only through experience.
Yes.
You don't learn it just listening to a sermon.
Amen.
You don't learn it just by going to Bible study, even just by reading the Bible. You learn this, like David learned, through experience. I go through a crisis. I go to God, I go on faith, and I go up. And as I experience God breaking through my life, I come to personally know Him as the Lord of the breakthrough.
Yes.
Do you know Him as the Lord of the breakthrough?
Yes.
He breaks through financial barriers. He breaks through relational barriers. He breaks through any kind of addictions. He breaks through any kind of problem that you're going through. Do you know Him as the Lord of the breakthrough?
Amen.
Go through a crisis.
Amen.
Go to God.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Go through a crisis. What you gonna do? Go to God. And what you gonna do? Go on faith. Then what you gonna do? You're gonna go up. So let me close by saying this right now. If you're in a battle, if you're in some type of battle right now, that's a good sign, folks. Because I believe that means your breakthrough is right around the corner. It's right around the corner. In between the victories, there are attacks. In between the breakthroughs, there are battles. There can be no triumph without being tried. There can be no testimony without the test. There can be no victory without a battle. There can be no resurrection without the crucifixion. Our greatest battle comes right before our greatest breakthrough. The darkest time is right before the dawn. The battle usually rages at its highest right before the victory. So if you and I don't turn back, if we don't give up, we will experience a breakthrough. Because the enemy will fight us harder than ever before because he knows you're closer to victory than ever before. So don't give up if you're right on the border of your breakthrough. See, folks, I think it's important for you and I to know that strength is not born by seeing miracles. We get strength when we go through struggle. That's how God strengthens us. A bodybuilder doesn't get strong by watching somebody else work out. He gets strong by going through the struggle and working out himself. Say to your neighbor, keep pressing on. Keep keeping on. Your breakthrough is right around the corner. The strength that you and I need in order to get into the promise is the struggle. Unfortunately, that's where so many of us give up. We give up in the battle. We are right on the edge of going to the next level, but we give up because we get weary and we get tired. But I have some good news for folks who are weary and tired. The Bible says we'll reap a harvest if we don't give up. He's saying your breakthrough will come through. So we may feel like this evening that things are breaking up, but I'm here to tell you this evening that things are breaking through. If you just hold on, if you just keep the course, if you just trust God, if you act on what you know, if you act on what you believe. I go through a crisis. I go to God. I go on faith, and I go, say it with me, folks, I go through a crisis. I go to God. I go on faith, and I go one more time. I go through a crisis. I go to God. I go on faith, and I go, say it again. I go through a crisis. I go to God. I go on faith, and I go up.